Today we're flying from the US to Europe for the first time in 2022, and we are so curious to see what the experience will be like.
This morning we flew from Nashville here to JFK in New York, and so far it feels pretty normal. So there's still face mask required signs everywhere, but most people are not wearing them, including us, including the staff. Our plane was almost completely full. There was normal inboard service and food available. Now we're in the food court. All the restaurants are open. People are eating everywhere. So truthfully, it kind of feels like we're going back to normal in 2019.
It is kind of a time warp because, I mean, even in 2019, you'd see some people wearing masks, especially traveling within Europe. So it really does feel like we've kind of hit rewind, gone back about 3 years, and maybe we'll get a chance to do these last couple years all over again. So we're going to take you along on the rest of our journey from New York to Geneva, Switzerland. But before we do that, let's hit the lounge and we'll tell you a little bit about how we do these travel days so affordable. Now let's talk a little bit more about masks because we're learning as we go just like you are, and we want to share our experiences with you. As far as we know, masks are no longer required on flights in the US, and we thought that meant you would not need to wear them in airports, but we're not so sure because our experience today has been a little bit confusing. When we got to Nashville, nobody was wearing one and nobody was enforcing it, even though we did notice some signs once in a while that said they were required. When we got to New York, however, I'd say it's about 50-50. In fact, when we went up to desks to talk to workers, some people asked us to put masks on, some didn't. So I honestly don't know whether or not they're required here or at other airports. But the best I can tell you is pack a mask when you travel, be ready to put it on, and remember to be kind to the airport and the airline workers because everybody is doing the best that they can. Okay, now let's really go to the lounge.
Travel days can be long and tiring and expensive, but we found 4 things that just make our travel days go so much smoother. And the first one is TSA PreCheck. This is basically like a fast pass through security where you don't have to take off your shoes or remove your electronics, take out your liquids, or any of the other things you normally do through security. It typically costs about $100, but thanks to one of our travel credit cards, we got it for free.
Next, we flew to New York on JetBlue and booked it with points. When I looked at flights this weekend, they started at a minimum of $500. But today, Friday, we were able to get here for 4,500 points and about $5.50 per person. So a little bit of flexibility on our travel day and a handful of points saved us a ton of money.
Lounges are not only for business class passengers. In fact, we've been in lounges all over the world thanks to our Priority Pass. Now you can just purchase this pass, but of course one of our premium travel credit cards gave us access just by signing up for the card. I know that might kind of seem like a status symbol going to the lounge, but it's really practical. The seats are comfier, the Wi-Fi is better, it's free food and free drinks. Honestly, lounges make our travel days so much easier.
Finally, this evening we're flying to Geneva, Switzerland on Swiss. Now, normally, economy flights to Europe start at 30,000 points, but there's a hack that's allowing us to get there for less than half that. Exactly 13,200 points to be exact. So in total, we're enjoying TSA PreCheck, a day in the lounge, and we're flying to Europe for less than $65 per person.
I know we're just skimming the surface, and there are so many details which we wrote up in a blog for you because we want you to see us travel and learn how you can travel too. But this is still a real travel day, so we better go catch our flight.
Hello. Thank you.
Ready? We're on our way to Switzerland. So we just boarded our flight on Swiss, and none of the crew are wearing masks, so I don't think we have to. I actually hoped it would be a pretty empty flight, but there are most of the seats full, which is fine. And we're just now getting all of our amenities and blankets, so hopefully this will be a smooth flight.
Well, after sitting on the runway for over an hour waiting for takeoff, we are finally up in the air. And we forgot to tell you about the restrictions to enter Switzerland. We covered masks in airports and on planes, but here's the latest as of May 13th, 2022. There are literally no restrictions. You don't have to show proof of vaccine, you don't have to show a negative test, and there's no form to fill out.
If this has been helpful about traveling in 2022, then hit that like button so we know you're following along. Before our dinner comes, I'm going to give you a little sleep tour. It's a pretty standard seat. We got a pillow and a blanket. In the armrest, there are these little handheld controllers that work for our TV. Of course, there are movies and TV shows and games on here. There's also a USB port next to the TV. We have our standard tray table, but my favorite feature is this extra little cup holder right here. How convenient is that?
Our dinner has arrived, and it's always so interesting to see what kind of food we get. Tonight we both ordered the pasta with cheese sauce. There's also a side salad and a little piece of cheesecake and some bread. I think that'll fill us up enough to hopefully sleep well tonight.
Fancy. We even have real silverware. We're hoping to catch a few hours of sleep before we land in Geneva, so I needed a bathroom break before bed. And our friends Caroline, Anna Laura, and Reed are taking their first international flight this summer and asked for a tour of the bathroom, so I'm going to attempt to show you around. We have a vanity with a little shelf. Down here, a sink, soap, paper towels, toilet with a button to flush, some bars to hold in case of turbulence, and don't forget to lock the door.
Well, it's morning here, but my body thinks it's about 3 a.m. Pretty sure I didn't sleep at all. But they did bring us breakfast. Let's be honest, this is the whole reason for flying Swiss.
We're making our descent, which means we're almost in Geneva, and I cannot wait to be back in Switzerland this summer. If you've never been before, we made this video just for you. And if you want to learn how to make your travel days cheaper and easier, watch this next. See you there.